I saw the true colors of a lot of my colleagues around the state.
For instance, he would be like, keep him off his left. He's trash going right. And I remember and you couldn't say nothing, he's the coach at this time,
Yeah.
I can't even say the story because we'll get canceled. We are on air with Serg. We have a few special guests with us. We are going into a really cool time in this podcast. We're going to start meeting some really cool people that are locally, I would say, grassroots on the floor. They know what's going on every day. If your kid is ditching class, some of these people who are going to be on the next few podcasts are going to know. But let me introduce them. To my far right, we have BC, 40-inch vert. Don't talk to me if you ain't got a 40-inch vert. BC, how you doing today? You good?
Yeah, it's same old Sunday.
Why you got your Bout About It shirt on today?
Because I caught some flack because of the juvenile thing last week.
I know, man. Hey, we've been looking on our page in the comments. They've been killing you.
Yeah.
They said the dreadhead, get his ass out of here. But yeah, we love to see all the comments. And to the middle, to closest to me to the right, we have Coach Smith. He is the coach at Maryvale High School. Something that obviously from the beginning of this podcast we wanted to do is really highlight all of our people who are doing positive things in the city, right? And I'm a Metro Region kid. BC is not. He's a visitor, but he gets. But he
by proxy though.
By proxy, he is a Metro Region. If you would go to North because you're right by North, you'd be a North kid. We would have got some problems, but we want to really highlight the people who are doing good things in the city, having a positive impact on the youth, and honestly, just there. Like sometimes it's hard just to be there, right? Jeremy Smith is a coach at Maryvale High School, and we're gonna kind of just get into his story, right? We're gonna talk a little bit about his youth. We'll talk about a little bit how he got into coaching, how he got his first head coaching job, and where he is taking the Maryvale Panthers. I actually have a really cool story about Maryvale. So my senior year, we were like number 3 in the state, and you were long gone. And we actually have a connection as well. And freaking, we had a terrible game. We were playing against Marcus, Rodney, Dalvin, and I remember we just couldn't shoot the ball well. It was probably because of nasty ass honey bears that Bustos had us eating before every damn game. But we had a slow, sluggish start. I wasn't shooting the ball well. And then next thing you know, we find ourselves down 2, and Bustos was, I don't know what to do. Drew up some bullshit play. He was super frustrated because he felt we were going to lose. But hey, he had your boy, he had the brown mamba. I was like, coach, just give me the ball. I was like, just give me the ball. So he ran up some play where I caught it at half court. Took one dribble and I shot it from deep, and it was right in front of Maryvale's bench. Ran the play. I was able to get it. It was like 3.2 seconds. So I was able to get 2 good dribbles, stepped into it, cashed it, probably from like 3 or 4 feet behind NBA range. And I'll never forget it because like all the dopamines that hit my body. And I was probably like $120. I took my jersey off. I had my Hangs muscle shirt on under. I threw it at the Maryvale bench. Get your asses out of here. I lost my mind. And Coach Benedict was there. He was pissed. Funny. He's like, have some class, Sergio. Because he knew me because Coach Benedict was already he was at Central prior. And he's like, have some class. And I pointed at my friend Marcus. I'm like, yeah. And he looked at me pissed off. And I'll never forget because that was my only game winner I ever had in high school.
That's funny.
I think that was my only game winner I've ever had other than like men's leagues and shit like that, but that don't count. So that's my connection to Maryvale. And I actually have a lot of friends who went to Maryvale, John Pena, Marcus, Ronnie, Dalvin. I know a lot of young kids that are going to Maryvale. I see the great things that you're doing there right now. But before we get into all of that, I want you to tell me, who is Jeremy Smith, the human?
As a human, obviously basketball shaped my life. I grew up, it was a tough environment that I grew up in. I faced homelessness, all kinds of stuff, kind of growing up as a youth. And really the only thing that like I felt like at the time gave me any value or worth was athletics, was basketball. Like I would win every what was it called? Field day. I lived for I lived for
crazy.
So I would go crazy like on those field days and just any type of competition. So basketball kind of helped shape me to be who I am. It taught me a lot of values and discipline and how to communicate with people and how to kind of just see the forest through the trees, so to speak. And basketball just has always been something that's helped me be who I am.
Yeah.
And then obviously piggybacking off that, and this funny story about Darren, we played together at Central for a little bit, but Darren, my senior year, tells me, because obviously I talked to him about, life things. And so
It's the wrong person. I'm giving you a hard time because Busso's going to come on here. He's going to be like, why are you talking about me, fella?
No, I had to tell it because it's a true story. So my senior year, I'm telling him about this girl that I'm dating. And he's like, bro, you're not going to be with her, bro. Like, what are we doing here? And I'm like, I really like her, coach. Like, I think this is the one. And so he laughs at me, whatever. Long story short, it comes full circle. I'm looking for a coaching job. I'm wanting to get into high school coaching. And so I hit Darren up, and he kind of doesn't really hit me back. But to make a long story short, he asked, hey, you end up with that girl, bro? And I said, yeah, like she's my wife. We got kids. Like we're still together to this day.
Man,
so
that's
obviously,
crazy.
If he's a gambling man, he gambled wrong on that one, and so I'm still with her to this day. So.
Man, that's awesome. That's actually a good story because I think, and this may take us into a different segue, but like in today's time, you don't know of like high school sweethearts anymore.
Yeah.
Like that thing doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Like
Facts.
I mean, if I think of the, and I hope my fiance doesn't get upset at me at this if she watches this, but like I dated, God no, you point them out, you know what I'm saying? Like I would date everybody, and I think, for 2 weeks I thought they were gonna be my wife, and then after I was like, all right, bro, I'm out.
2 weeks later, it's like, nope.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I think you don't, your girl right now you just met her recently, right?
Yeah.
Tomas, you don't got no high school sweetheart either, huh?
Yeah, I do.
Bullshit.
Okay.
I do. I had a high school sweetheart. She was trash, but
Oh my God! But you're not dating her now.
No, hell
Okay.
no.
Okay. So you gonna talk about Debbie like that? Or what?
No. And when I see her on Facebook, I'm very grateful that I'm not.
That you made that decision.
That I made that decision. That
God
she
damn.
made that decision.
That's cool, man. That's something to be proud of, though. You should
No, it's something that I
seriously.
talk to the boys about when we talk about like life lessons and things like that. It's there are going to be hard times. It's going to be contentious. Marriage is not for the weak. But when you do that, you're creating a lifelong bond with somebody. There's going to be growing pains. There's going to be hell, my wife gives me a hard time all the time about, hey, you're going to the gym again, or hey, what are we doing? You're going to do a training, or you're doing this, or you're doing that. You're always gone. But the full circle moment for us now is my son's in high school. And so he's at Maryville with me. Obviously, my daughter is too. I have an older girl and him. And so he's at Maryville. And so he's reaping the benefits of some of the connections and the relationship. And
Does he play?
yeah, so so let me go back. So he's going to play this year. So he's never really played a lot of organized basketball. Like when we have summer leagues and stuff, he'd come and make an appearance.
You might as well play. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
you might as well. You're here. So he'd get thrown into the fire sometimes, and he liked it, but he really loves soccer. And so it's never been my place to kind of make him love a sport. So I've always been hands off with it. And I've seen dads go the other way with it and kind of ruin the relationship with their kids.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was like, if he wants to do this, I want him to want it. And if he doesn't, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And so the last like couple months leading up to high school, he played all through our camps and clinics and stuff. And he had some really good games. Even here recently, playing like a AAU type basketball. He was averaging like 15 a game and kind of just being aggressive because he had that soccer background. So he has that endless tank where he's just all over the court. And he's not backing down like whereas normal basketball players would get winded and kind of grab at your knees. He had that tank where he could just keep going.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I'm just gonna throw this out there. How's Maryville's soccer team? There's a lot of Mexican kids on there. He's the only black dude on the squad.
So that was the ask was for him to play basketball this year. I said, hey, how about you play basketball? It's during the same season.
Yeah.
So this year, let's just do basketball, and if you hate it, you got the next 3 years.
Yeah.
And so he's all in on it. He's playing football right now.
Okay.
For the Carters.
Nice.
So
The Carters. That's interesting. That's cool though. So you got 2 kids?
yeah, 2 kids there, and then we got a 2-year-old.
Okay, how's
So we
that?
started
You
over.
restarted over?
We started
I
over.
got
That's a reset button.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
got a daughter right now. She's turning what? She just turned 11, 12 months, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because I tell my fiance, I'm like, yo, let's get it now because I don't want to start over. I don't know how that
Yeah.
process is gonna be, dude. That's a tough one.
It is. So my oldest is 16. My youngest he just turned 15, I believe. So they're a little over a year and some change apart. But having them both in diapers for like a second was rough. But I'm glad we did it the way we did. And then having the baby, this baby was the baby we didn't know we needed, little baby girl named Jordan. She helped level set the family. Like,
Okay.
you know, COVID was a rough time, I think, for us as a family. Just being in the house that much, you know,
Oh my
anybody
gosh,
would
yeah,
go crazy.
absolutely.
So we had
You
a
can
rough
have a
time.
mansion and you're still gonna
Facts.
lose your mind.
Facts.
Yeah, for
No,
sure.
we have at the time we were staying in our Tolleson home, and it was 3,000 square feet. Like, we had more than enough space, but it was rough, man. It really kind of tugged at the fabric of our relationship. And luckily we were able to make it through that, and then out of that came Jordan, and so that she really helped level set everything.
Boy, they were Netflix and chilling. But
Be like that. Be like that.
no, that's interesting. That's cool though. So you got 3 kids. Awesome. Wife, you've been with her. Shout her out. What's her name, man?
Stephanie Smith.
Stephanie Smith.
Yeah,
There you
yeah,
go.
yeah.
That's a big shout out, man. That's it. That's impressive. Like I said, man, it's hard in this day and age to find some, you know, couples who have been high school sweethearts. And like you said, marriage and just
Yeah.
any relationship is give or take, right? So like being together for that long, you know, it's
2007. It's
it's
been a minute.
impressive, man. It's very impressive.
minute.
So kudos to you guys. I hope it goes for the 40 years. That you invite me to
No.
the 40 year
You'll be invited.
party.
Open invitation, man.
Yeah,
You're there.
for sure. Because I always I think that's why I hang around Tomas a lot, because he's in a relationship and he's open. He's like, yeah, man, my wife's pissing me off today, bro. I can't stand her, man. And then sometimes like, oh yeah, she's holding it down over there, you know. And for me as a younger guy, it's good to hear those things, right?
Yeah,
like
we need to
it's-
hear the real.
We need to hear like, hey, man, it's like you said, it's
not-
hard.
it's not
It's
perfect,
hard.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you know, us gentlemen who, you know, we work our day jobs and then we have extracurricular stuff where we like to spend our time with kids and, you know, make sure we help the youth and all of that good stuff. It's important, you know, so to even hear about how those relationships work, you know,
Yeah.
like, cause it's, you spend one thing I know as a coach and all of our BC's coach too, Tomas might as well be a coach. He's a poet coach, but you spend a lot of time with those kids more than you spend with your family, Samir, sometimes.
Facts. And it makes it impossible to, you know, have a good family unit without a strong partner to be there and carry the load.
Yes.
And so she allows me to coach by taking those extra trips, driving my son to soccer, making sure the diapers are changed, making sure she's
Yes.
doing those pickup orders, and I'm having to pick it up now, which is fine with me.
Oh, yeah.
I used to hate to have to go inside the store because I was
Yeah,
gonna be a terrible, you know, human if I came home and I didn't get the broccoli or whatever was on
Yeah.
that list. And so we came up with an agreement where if I got to go in the store, it's got to be less than 5 things, because if I get the wrong thing,
I got to be able to
That's
hit
a good agreement, though.
You know what I'm saying?
that express line right there, 10
'Cause,
items.
I'm
and
telling
under.
you, because she would send me in there with this huge list, and I got, of the 18 things, I got 17 of them right, but that one thing, I was a
It's the
dirtbag.
one thing.
Yeah,
Like, it's the
oh,
one
yeah,
thing.
It's the one thing.
Like, so did we need the 7 bananas? I only got 6. My bad. You
Yeah.
know? No, I didn't need that 7.
And she did, because it was that last ingredient that was
Yeah,
gonna
it's a
make the dish.
recipe. She keep throwing out the recipe.
And then I'm like, I'll go back to the store. No, it's too late. Like, and it's like, no, it's not too late. I can go back.
my gosh.
And so yeah, so
No,
we
that's
kinda created
cool,
that.
man. That's good. That's good to hear, man. It's good to hear that we have, you know, our strong black and brown couples still out here. You know what
Facts.
I'm saying? That's important. So, all right, tell me a little bit about, I'll give you a few minutes. Tell me a little bit about your high school life. Where did you grow up? What did you play? Did you play all the sports? You know, talk to me a little bit about that.
So high school life, I went to Central High School. I was a Bobcat.
Central
Shout out to
Bobcat.
them. They just won a state
CHS.
championship, which is huge. The first in the school's history.
I was supposed to get them at first. You
we
know what I'm
weren't
saying?
able to do that, but luckily the Mattingleys, they delivered. Darren got one. So we talked about it in our coaches meeting before he ended up winning the state title. 27 years, man. And he
That's
got
insane.
one. So that's huge. It's not for the faint of heart. He grinded it out for that long.
How many
and
years
finally
your
got one.
coach been at Lee?
20.
20?
Yeah.
Has he won a state?
Yeah. 2020.
He wanted to,
Yeah,
but that a COVID state
COVID, that's an
that don't
asterisk.
count.
No,
Though.
no, it was
That's
before
the bubble.
COVID. Before
okay.
COVID.
I was
Yeah, no,
just-
it's-
that's like
that's
LeBron. Like I'm not giving LeBron that shit.
No, it
Bubble
was
championship.
February because Alabama does it early. It was February 20.
Oh, okay.
So it was right
That's-
before
right
everything shut
before.
down
Yeah.
in
Oh.
March. That's crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah, 27 years. So, all right, tell me a little bit of Central. Did you grow up in that area?
I did. So my freshman year, I was actually on 14th Street in Thomas. I was right next to North High School.
Okay.
But I was going to Osborne Middle School. Osborne Middle School's coach ends up taking, I believe it was a JV job at Central that year. We were at the time sponsored by Gatorade, like the 27-game win streak, all this stuff. I wasn't actually even a part of that team. I'd end up transferring in toward the end of that year, so I got to reap some of the benefits of them having some of those accolades. The best player there's girlfriend was going to go to Central because, like, I don't know, her uncle or grandpa or somebody worked there, his name was Kevin Bueno. he decides to come over.
Kevin
He was a
Bueno.
dog, bro. It was a dog. So we actually played AAU together and stuff. And so we end up both deciding to go to Central together because the thought was go to North. They're already loaded. They got Darren Six. They got all these guys. Jimmy Stroggins was there at the time. They had some dogs. And so do we go there and coattail what they're doing, or do we go to Central that had come off like a no-win season? I think Tom's last year, and then we got a new coach in Darren. We end up going there. I think we win 2 games that year. They used to call it Tony's Bobcats. We had a guy named Tony Romero, which was a dog. He was averaging, I think, the most points in Phoenix Union at the time. They used to call him Tony's Bobcats, and we won, I think it was 2 games that year. We had a guy named Freddie Chavez, too, that was there. He was a dog, but we had a lot of close games, but we didn't win a lot of games that year.
Kevin Bueno, didn't Kevin tore his knee up or something,
Tore
right?
his knee up, man.
And
it was so
I remember because it was like a folktale when I got there. They're like, yo, Kevin, he used to be able to dunk in the 8th grade. And I was like, bro, I was like, nah, ain't no way, bro. I was getting up there hanging on the rim, like missing dunk. Ain't no way he was dunking in 8th grade. Because he was like, I mean, and I didn't see him before, so I'm guessing he was just a shell of himself. He couldn't jump or anything.
Never got back to it.
And it was interesting. I remember that name. I actually see him every now and then. But
he likes a lot of baseball, so I constantly see him at baseball games and stuff like that.
Cool.
And we're still friends on social media.
That's
and whatnot.
good. Glad he's doing good. So your first few years at Central, you guys were dog crap, man.
First year, and so luckily, like Darren kind of spread it out, right? Like he wasn't, it wasn't lost on him. So he wanted to kind of keep us, kind of give us a carrot, so to speak. So we got to play JV and varsity, so that way JV we could have some fun.
You're undefeated, the undefeated JV team and the really bad varsity. That's usually how it goes.
You gotta get your reps in, though.
We got to do that my freshman year. My sophomore year, we competed. I want to say we only won 8 games. We went 8-10, and then the next year we went. So overall, max prep. So we went 10-18 technically, like with the tournaments and whatnot. Yeah. And then the next year we went 18-10. So it was a complete flip, and we made it to the final 4. No, Elite 8. We made it to Elite 8. It was an Elite 8.
Your boy was the first one.
It was an Elite 8. It was Elite 8, and we got knocked out. We got knocked out by the Trojans over at Paradise Valley. But so I played there. My senior year ended up getting cut short. Kind of some decisions were made. And just kind of the trajectory of the program. Where were we going? We had a young group with you, Robert, Day. There was another Robert and some other guys, and so we had some young talent coming in. And Darren kind of wanted to go for the future and build that up, and so I kind of stepped aside and let them go do that. Yeah.
Do you ever look back at that decision? Do you, like, obviously in hindsight's 2020, right? But do you ever, like, at that moment, I think we weren't really talking too much about kids and like just their mental health, and like how did you feel like stepping away from the team? Because as somebody who was a part of that team, I think it was your senior year, and that's something that as a high school kid, even a college kid, like you fight to get to your senior year because you're like, this is the year where I'm gonna go crazy. But like, how did you deal with that? How did you cope with that?
In hindsight, I mean, I don't have any regrets about how it went down. I think because I'm a big believer in, like, if you say something, you better be willing and ready to do it.
Fair enough.
So I talked to the coach about some things, and it didn't work out, and so I stood on my word and what I said, and I just made the decision to again kind of step away from the team, and I stand on that. But with that being said, it helped me be a better coach because now I know and I look for when kids are struggling, whether it be, like you said, with mental health or playing time, rotation time, or if they need to know what my philosophy is or where we're going, I know how to communicate that with them in a way that's loving and caring, and they understand, like, whether it be we're playing for the future or whatever, but we're still always going to put the kids that are on the court right now in the best possible position to have fun. It's never going to be like, I had some seniors last year that they didn't get to play much, but they'll tell you they had the time of their life. During
the
that
bench
season.
mob, they had the bench mob.
No, they were warriors, man, on the bench. But they understood what the ask was, and they had fun.
Yeah,
they had fun. They still show up for me. we have open gyms or other things, and that they'll come out and they turn out for us. So it's big.
That's interesting. Yeah, because I always think about that, and I remember and BC can attest to this. My sophomore year of junior college, I played really well my freshman year. BC was there. I'm kind of the reason why he went D1. That's my story, if you let me tell it. He just got to rebound a lot of my bad shots that I took. So, he was a double machine. But my sophomore year, I played my ass off the whole season, and I remember I ended up getting kicked off the season in after we made it to the national tournament. I got kicked off and I didn't get to go. Reason why is I was just a flat out knucklehead. He'll tell you, he was always there like, "Sir, just shut up, man. Shut the fuck up." Like,
always has to have the last word.
Yeah, always had to have the last word. And I ended up having the last word, and I didn't have I won the battle, I felt like, but I lost the war. You know what I'm saying?
No, Dan used to coach at Maryville. So we there's that connection.
Who's
there.
that?
Dan Nichols.
Yeah.
Dan Nichols. Yeah, Dan's over.
He was a Maryville.
Yeah, he was the one who kicked me off, man. But it was interesting. No, I always tell people that was the best. That was one of the greatest lessons I've ever learned in my life, was getting kicked off, because it showed me that nobody's bigger than the program. No matter how many points you score, no matter how many rebounds, how many will go without you, because you're not bigger than the program. And I tell people all the time, that was probably one of the darkest moments of my life, because I didn't know what was next. And I think that's something where I was like, did you have aspirations of going D1, D2, JUCO, because I genuinely didn't know. I remember I would go to the Y every day, two, 3 times a day, and go shoot and work out and do whatever I had to do. And when I got kicked off the team, I was still doing it because I didn't know what else to do. I was like, what the hell are you supposed to do? That's all I know is to play ball. So thank God I found somewhere I landed, after. But, as a kid, like, I was at least 20, at least my brain was a little bit more developed. But for you, like, you just cold turkeyed it.
Yeah. So no. So my parents were disabled. My dad was a veteran. My mom, she had some disabilities and stuff. So I had to take care of the house like early on.
Okay.
And like I said, we struggled with homelessness and other things. And so I was already built to kind of stand on my own and kind of be, away from the game.
Fair.
I just wasn't sure how that would look. And so in stepping away, I still wanted to support the team and stuff like that. But at the same time, I had a job, I had a girlfriend, I had other things that were kind of going through my mind at that young age. But at the end of the day, I knew going back, rewinding, I had hurt my knee in Vegas at it was called the Easter Classic, which used to be a big thing back in the day. It was kind of like the Bigfoot tournament, but back then.
Oh, okay.
And so it was a big deal. I went out there. We were playing against some Kenyans that were all 6 foot and above. And so I'm in 7th grade playing against all these huge monster kids. And I was going at them. And so at that time, that was the first time I'd torn a meniscus. And not knowing that because I didn't have insurance. And so, I didn't realize that until I ended up being an adult. But in going through all that, I tore that knee up. And then later on, the end of 8th grade, right before I went to Central, I was on crutches too, other knee. So what happens is you have what's called compensation injury. So you're compensating for one knee with the other knee, and then that knee ends up looking the same way. Yeah. Your body is kind of like a mirror of each other. And so, and having those knee injuries early on, I kind of knew eventually there was going to be an end of the road for me. I didn't know what that looked like. I still thought I was good enough to play college. And at the time I was going to play for Matt Gordon. And then there was some issues with my high school coach kind of reaching out to him and telling him, hey, if he's still with that girl, be on the lookout for him or whatever, which ended up.
Matt Gordon is an interesting guy, but I tell him, I can't even say the story online because we'll get canceled. Yeah, YouTube would take this shit off, but I'm going to tell you offline, but continue.
So Matt ends up telling me based on his conversation with Darren, he wants to kind of get to know me and let's kind of meet up and we'll have barbecues and other things and team builds and all that. And I just, at that time, again, I wasn't interested in the fluff. I loved the game. I wanted to play the game, but if we got to do the song and dance, I just wasn't with it.
Fair enough.
And then ultimately, 2 months later, I ended up finding out my wife was pregnant on Halloween. And so at the time, she was my girlfriend. And so then just priorities changed. And so then work became the thing. And I always knew I wanted to come back to basketball. I didn't know how that was going to look. And then ultimately, I'm where I am now, so I'm coaching here and just love it.
That's awesome. That's a good story because, I mean, for me at least, it took me a while for when I was done playing basketball at the level I was playing at. at the university level, I came back home and I had a stint where I was like, oh yeah, I'll go play pro in Mexico. Then you go look at it, you're like, bro, none of this is guaranteed. They can send you home when you want to get sent home. I think BC even dealt with it a little bit. It's like when we're done with the game or when the game's done with us, I always say that sometimes, we got to think, ahead, before the game is done with us, right? It's like, what are we supposed to actually do? I've been hooping my whole life, whole 14 years or whatever the case may be. And it's like, you have this moment where it's like, you're like, I got to go left or I got to go right. And, sometimes left isn't right and sometimes right isn't right, but you're just figuring it out as you go. And that's interesting. So like, obviously you graduate from high school, thank the Lord, right? You're not like BC, my D1. This guy went D1 with a GED. So that's, his story is interesting too. But, where do you go after that?
So I graduate, and again, it's important to find a partner that genuinely loves you and cares about you. One of my ex-girlfriend's father sat me down and talked to me because we ended up kind of breaking up. We were going through this weird thing, and he tells me, and this ended up being kind of the blueprint for my relationship, was he says, hey, when you met my daughter, did she tell you the truth? And I won't kind of throw her under the bus, but basically what he ends up telling me.
What's her social security number?
What he ends up telling me is this. He goes, kind of some of your relationship was founded on a lie because she told you she played basketball, she was on varsity, she was this, she was that. Some of the things that attracted you here wasn't true. Okay. So with that being said, I think you're too good of a guy for her. Okay. He goes, and I say this respectfully.
I was going to say, damn.
He goes, and I say this respectfully with no disrespect to my daughter. He goes, but when you find somebody that you're going to love and that's going to be there for you, they're going to make you better. They're going to make you more faithful as far as like Christ or Christianity, if that's what you choose to do. Absolutely. They're going to make you a better Christian. They're going to make you a better driver. They're going to make you a better man. Mm-hmm. And so when I met my wife shortly after this, the first thing she was asking me was like, hey, why don't you have your driver's license yet? And I said, well, my parents don't have a car. She's like, well, you can use my mom's car to take the test because you're going to eventually turn 18. Yeah. When you turn 18, just take it in my mom's car. So I got my license with my wife.
What kind of car was it?
It was a Toyota Corolla.
Okay. Little mom car. And no
backup camera, none of that. But passed the test first try. So, but that made sense. And then again, like we got a job together at Target. We got that job together.
What Target was this? Is this the one on 19th?
So it was at the time, it was 19th, but we actually opened that store. So it was really on 7th Avenue when it was closing. We got the job there so we could train and do some stuff. And then we helped put together the new Super Target that's on 19th
the GCU Target, as they call it? Yep. Yeah, that's
so cool. That was that. So I forget the original question, but
the father's a stand-up guy.
No, seriously. So like, what did you do after school? So obviously you kept working, you kept grinding, and your partner, right? Like your partner helped you.
Partner was important. And so piggyback into that story, a partner makes you better. And then what am I going to do after high school? Because I only ever really hooped. I thought about going, to play. Yeah. And so I'm like, well, what's the move? And she's like, well, we got to fill out our FAFSA. Like, let's make sure this happens. So fill out the FAFSA. Still don't really know where I'm going to go. So I fill it out for GCC. I fill it out for PC. I go visit PC. I like it. It's a little bit closer to home because at the time I was on 19th Avenue and Thomas. Okay. So it's closer to home. I go to some open runs with Matt and those guys. We got a guy that was a freaking Ira Brown. I'm throwing him alley-oops and stuff. And Matt tells me like, yo, I think you might be our starting point guard. I knew I couldn't dribble worth a damn. So I know that's a stretch. But I'm like, you know what? Maybe I could play, for him. Yeah. And it ultimately didn't work out, but it did in the long run. Because I'm where I am now, and I just appreciated all those experiences. So it was just a lot of fun. But I ended up at Phoenix College. I go there for 3 years, the long way, because there was some gaps and lower class loads and whatever. Because I ended up having a baby after freshman year. But I get a degree in criminal justice. Still don't know what I want to do. Because my dad's not wanting me to be a cop. I also kind of want to be an attorney. I don't really know what I want to do. So there was some trials and tribulations there. I ended up at a warehouse and working there. A lot of my colleagues were like, dude, this isn't for you. You're much too smart for this. Not to say that there's anything wrong with warehouse.
Of course,
work,
yeah, no, absolutely.
What they didn't want me to do was like pigeonhole myself in that career because I was 19, 20 years old. Yeah, I was 20 years old. Yeah. And that's what they were saying. They're like, look, I'm 40 years old, 50 years old. There's nothing else that I could do because this is all I've ever known is the warehouse work. They go, we want better for you. So after the warehouse work, actually I ended up tearing my other meniscus in this knee
Picking up boxes and shit.
Yeah, picking up. No joke. I was jumping off a pallet jack and twisting, and I heard it like pop, and I didn't know what was going on. So I finished out the shift. I'm kind of limping, and that's actually what saved me. Was I limped out of the warehouse that day, and they saw me on camera because they tried to fight it originally. Was they were saying, "Oh no, bro, like you probably played sports, you probably had all these pre-existing injuries and this and that." And so ultimately what ended up happening was they paid for me to have like a knee reconstruction. And so my job paid for that. And it was kind of a big deal. It was a major surgery. I could show you, like I got a pretty gnarly scar. This is a piece of my hip that they put in there it's an unloading procedure called the Fulkerson McKay. So I had it done by like one of the Cardinals doctors. So that was pretty cool. That I had like a sports, big time sports doctor kind of work on my knee. But
that's crazy, man. This fool right here done been through a lot of surgeries too.
The thing right there.
I had 5. They ended up doing like a cartilage graft. So they pulled out some, grew it in a lab, sewed it up. Unfortunately, with that, there's non-weight bearing for 6 weeks. And then after that, I couldn't cut for 6 months. So I gained like 40 pounds. Like I got super fat. I'm chilling at the crib eating. My wife's feeding me good. And she's Mexican, so I'm getting all the Mexican food, all the greasy stuff. So I'm getting after it with that, and then just gained some weight. And then even coming out of that, though, even after the weight, I could still dunk. I was still athletic.
Jumping, yeah.
But that surely faded because that muscle atrophy and things.
Absolutely,
it definitely played a part. So.
That's interesting. So where'd you finish school? Did you go?
So I ended up finishing at Phoenix College. I got my associates. I then went to ASU for a semester, realized it wasn't really for me. And I was real big on like, how could I save dollars and cents?
Absolutely.
The Lumberjacks, Northern Arizona had a program where you could transfer 90 credits from the community college. It was called the 90-30 program. So I went to Estrella Mountain Community College, got a second associate's degree to put me to that 90 credits. And then I jumped to NAU. I did majority of that online, and then I got my my bachelor's there in 2016, early childhood education.
There you go.
And that was coming off. I had actually made it through the academy to be with MCSO, the sheriff's office. And
you're about to start snitching on.
No, this is crazy. So we're in this thing, and it's almost like Scared Straight. So they bring in all the people that made it to this point, and they're about to send us off to this academy for, I believe it was like 6 weeks in Tucson somewhere. And they bring us in this room, and then they play this video for us, and it's of this guard getting like shivved, like they're stabbing him and stuff. It's terrible to watch.
I'm sure
he lives. It's like 27 stab wounds with like this makeshift weapon, and then they pull him out and they interview him. Like, why did this happen? Do you know why this happened to you? And he's already healed up at this point, and he gives the interview, and he has no idea why this happens to him. So then they interview the prison person that did the stabbing, and he said that he did this because he was sloppy and he had some stains on his shirt and it was untucked. And at that point, I realized like there was nothing I could do to help this gentleman because I've always wanted to help people in their situations. And so I realized very soon that this ain't the job for me.
I was gonna say
it's past it. So I
it ain't for the weak, right?
Sign up to go to jail every day.
No. So that's
a fair point though, right? Like, hey, I never thought about that. Like all these, CEOs, you literally are signing up to go to jail
every single day.
Yeah. So once I saw that, it kind of just told me all I needed to see is like this ain't for me.
Yeah,
I want to help people, and how can I do that? And so that's what changed my my focus and my major. I ended up going to school for early childhood education. I thought I was going to work with the littler guys, so they don't be those guys that he was.
Yeah.
And then that changed again when I talked to Tim Benedict, which was again an assistant coach at Central when I was in school. He became the head coach of Maryville and then later went on to Bourgade. When he was at Bourgade, it was the only time that I could remember that the Nike clinic came out here and they were at GCU. I run into him there. He goes, dude, have you thought about coaching at Maryville? Because he had asked me where I was coaching. I told him I'm just doing club.
Yeah.
And I had just gotten my bachelor's or whatever. And he's like, well, you should go to Maryville. They need coaches bad. The season's about to start. They don't have anyone.
Yeah.
Like no level has a coach.
And this is at what age did you want to be a coach? We're getting into it.
So how I got into coaching was, I want to say it was 2013, 2014. I wanted to coach, but I didn't know how to get in. Like I didn't know, like, do I call Darren, my old coach, and try to get on? I did, and he left me on the liberty. I'm done with that guy. So he didn't want to.
And it's crazy. That's something he would say. I'm done with that guy. He would do the same exact
so
thing.
He told me, yeah, bro, maybe we'll talk about it. And that day never came. And so I said, okay, well, I'm Googling how do I start a club team? Yeah. And it's like, go talk to tournament directors. So there's a lady named Bobby Berea. She runs a thing called Phoenix Rising, and it's like a tournament that she has like almost twice a month for at least like a 9-month stretch. I think she goes off for a little while, but anyways, Bobby, I go in, I meet her. I'm actually at one of my son's soccer games. They have a soccer facility inside Avondale Sports Complex.
Yeah.
And at the same time, this tournament's going on, and it's basketball. So I go over and I say, hey, who's the director of this tournament? And so they say, oh, it's Bobby. I meet this sweet lady, and I tell her my story. And I'm like, hey, I'm like a certified teacher. I have a fingerprint clearance card. Like, I'm good to work around kids. I have CPR certification. I have all this stuff. I just don't know where to start.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, I've always wanted to start my own club team. I'll brand it under Phoenix Rising. You be the coach, and I'll help you get a gym. I'll help you with tryouts. I'll help you with all of it. I'll even make you a graphic and a flyer.
Nice.
And I was like, this sounds too good to be true.
I was going to say, that sounds way too good.
I messaged her the next week, and I was like, hey, just following up. And she didn't message me back. And I was like, oh, man, maybe she just
hit me with the
it.
okie doke.
So then I messaged her the next week, nothing. So then I called thinking maybe it's the wrong number, and she answers, and she's like, hey, how you doing? Looking forward to starting this team. We're going to have tryouts next week. I'm going to send you the flyers, and you're going to practice at this middle school, and this is what it's going to be. And that's what we did. And we had 22 kids try out. It's a funny story. So we had 22 kids try out for this team, and I kept everybody. Like, I didn't know.
You had a football team.
Yeah, I didn't know how to cut anybody. So, but it's kind of the law of attrition or averages. So I had 22 kids. I had 6 coaches. We had tryouts. I think it was on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then we played that Saturday in a tournament. And so the first game, we lose by 40 points. Ooh. And of those 22 kids, I want to say 6 quit off the rip. 2 of my coaches quit. So we're down to, I think at this point now, 16, 17 kids.
Makes sense, yeah.
And we're at 4 coaches now. And then the next game, bloodbath, we lose by like 50. Ooh. And then some more kids quit. And so I think we're at this point, we're down to 13 kids and 3 coaches.
Yeah.
And I'm telling them, like, hey, it's going to get better, I promise. And I didn't know this at the time. The next game, we lose by 2. So we went winless in the tournament.
It got better, though.
It got better. It got worse before it got better. Absolutely. But it got better. And so then, those teams that beat us by 40 and 50, respectively, we beat them by 40 or 50 within a 3-month span. Okay. We started whooping teams. And so the beauty in that then is all of a sudden, Darren's like, hey, bro, I need some kids. Where are you at?
Yeah, of course.
And so all of a sudden,
the silver lining, right?
My man's like, yo, we'd love to have you. And at that point, I'm talking to other high school coaches and stuff. And the big thing that I've always told them is a lot of my kids were West Valley kids. And so I'm never going to tell a kid where to go.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't do it. So, but if you want me, you got me, because my wife hated the fact that I was volunteering my time. So for my club team, we didn't charge anything. We didn't make any money on it. Actually,
one of the very few club teams, right? That don't make money on
I didn't make a dime. So I was driving kids around. I was I'm picking them up. So I'm using my gas. I'm feeding them. Oh, yeah. I'm buying pizza and stuff.
Just coming all out of pocket.
All out of pocket. And so my wife's like, at least normally club teams are like, hey, that's my kids on the team. So I'm doing this for them. Mm-hmm. My kids were little. They were 2 and 3 years old. Yeah. So now I'm out of the house. I'm not making any money. I'm spending money on this, but I loved it. So we kind of talked about it off air. It was that adrenaline that I had as a player, that fight, that moxie, that competitiveness. Yeah. But I wasn't sore after. You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't. My muscles weren't fatigued.
Absolutely.
Like, I'd break a sweat sometimes, but it was all well and good. And so, long story short, I ended up talking to Tim about the job at Maryville. I applied, get the job before they even have a head coach. Okay. And so I think
varsity?
She slated me to be the freshman coach because I didn't have any high school experience. But then, and this comes full circle with the shirt I have on a Maryville football shirt. They hire a guy named Tim Butler, which I think he spent time at Millennium, if I'm not mistaken. He had a Final Four run there. He did some good stuff on the west side. He was working at South Mountain High School. He ends up applying for the job, getting it, and then bringing on 2 twins named Mark and Marcus Carter, and they end up getting the paid stipend because they're their guys. So they walk back my stipend. I don't get paid, so I'm still not getting paid. But the freshman coach that they end up hiring because he's on campus and we needed an on-campus coach, his name's Frank Contreras, which is now the athletic director at North High School. But he ends up splitting his stipend with me. Oh, okay. So that's how it worked out. So I ended up getting a little bit of money under the table, but I ended up being the JV coach. So let me be the JV head coach. The twins were the varsity assistants. And it worked out really well because they kind of let me do my own thing. The only problem with that was we practiced JV and varsity together, so we had to stand around a lot and watch varsity get the reps.
Yeah.
But there were times where I used to ask Tim, like, hey, can I take my JV guys on the other side and just get some work in instead of standing here? And he let me do it. And then they used to joke, the twins would make fun of me and say I was Coach Krzyzewski or whatever. I'm Coach K, because I would press the hell out of everybody, and I was very passionate, and I'd get a little bit animated on the sideline, so they used to give me a hard time. But
that's awesome. So obviously JV coach, you coach club. God, dog, I don't think I could ever coach club. I just hate that. I just hate that world. Like, I don't like the club world.
Yeah.
Especially as being a high school coach in, the AIAs, like, the club is it's just a nasty little world, I would say. From, coaches charging kids a boatload of money to kids switching teams to the worst part is the parents on the sideline. You know what I'm saying?
Everybody wants their hands in.
Everybody wants their hands in, and everybody wants to be the person that says, I was the one that this kid is successful, right? Not you. I was the one, and I hate that world. It's hard for me. I've been asked to coach club as well, and I don't think I ever will. I think it's tough. I think it's a tough world. So as you transition JV coach, when was your break? Like, when was your varsity break? Because I'll tell you mine's was they came to my classroom and they're like, hey, Sergio, we're going to cancel this season or you're going to be the varsity coach.
Yeah.
And I started laughing. I was like, oh, the boys or the girls? And they're like, the girls. Well, this was just the girls at the time. They're like, the girls. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I ain't never coached no girls. Like, I done hooped against boys. I done trained boys, like all of this. And I was just like, well, let's try it. I ended up falling in love with it. But that was my break to be a coach.
Yeah.
And BC coach at a pretty decent level, too. He coached CAA, right?
Yeah.
CAA, and they won a state championship at CNA. But,
dope.
yeah, so what was your break?
So those 2 years I coached under Tim Butler. I was a JV coach. We have a transition. I forget why Tim steps down. I think he was looking for administration. I think he went into admin. So he leaves. And then
Can't blame nobody for that.
No.
Can't
He
blame
got a
nobody.
pay bump. And at one point, he was looking at to being like a superintendent.
Oh,
or junior
okay.
superintendent somewhere in the Far East Valley. He ultimately ended up landing at Verado as an AD and at Agua Fria, both of those schools. He was the athletic director for.
Awesome.
And now I don't know if he's retired or not, but
He should be.
I did that for 2 years, and then after that, so this is a Butler, not Benedict.
Okay.
But so then, fast forward, I ended up getting Don Dominguez. I don't know if you remember playing against him. He was Fairfax's head coach.
I remember that little
so
guy.
he won a title. Yeah, little guy. And he talked a lot of
No,
shit.
he
That's
was
my
he
guy.
would talk
he's my
so
guy,
much
though.
shit now to the players though. I remember he would talk trash to us.
What he used to tell y'all.
He'd be like, basically, like, he would yell out their game plan and like he would say like what you couldn't do. Like, so me, for instance, he would be like, keep him off his left. He's trash going right. And I remember this little, and you couldn't say nothing. He's the coach at this time.
Yeah.
I was raised a little bit different. Where I talked to players, I never talked to a grown man like that.
Yeah. So
well, a grown man, he was short. Yeah.
So funny story about that is Don was his voice just carried. Like, this dude, like, he had a big voice, and he'd fill up a room with that voice. So I remember we're playing Tai and Chavez, and at this time it's kind of a close game. They used to blow us out, but at this point we're down like 10, and we're really getting in them. And we had a kid named Moses Yarrow. He comes down and he blows by Tai and gets a layup. And so he said, all day, he can't guard you. And
Ty Washington, who's in the NBA, by the way.
Tai dribbles over to the bench and goes, I bet you never played basketball. And me and Tai talked about this recently because he came to do a training session at the gym, and he goes, "Is that little guy still coach here?" And I go, "Hey, that little guy's my mentor, man. Get off his back." He goes, "You remember he was talking trash to me in the game?" And he was like, "Yeah." I go, "He wasn't directing it directly at you. He was more so trying to hype my man up." But no, he took exception to it, and then he proceeded to give us like 27 straight points after that.
This was Tai when he was a freshman too.
Sophomore.
He was young.
Sophomore. He was young.
Until he was special.
Because his junior year, he ended up going to Compass. And so,
that's what he went with them.
But funny story. So then I had Don for 4 years, and that was the best thing for me because he got to show me. We talked about a little bit right now when you talked about a player not being bigger than the program.
Yeah.
We had a special freshman that we had under the previous coach. He had scored 41 in a couple games, like on the freshman level, just pure scorer. The kid could play defense too. I thought he was going to be the future of our program. And Don comes in, kid ends up like having a little bit of an attitude one day and then ends up slipping with his grades. Don kicks him off the team. I was conflicted. I felt like quitting the job. Like I was like, this is crazy. Like you can't kick our best player off the team. Like this is wild. And I thought like everything was going to close down. Like we weren't going to have a season anymore. Like it was canceled. And we just kept putting one foot in front of the other. And we actually got better during the season as it went on. And so that taught me that nobody was bigger than the program. And then going forward, I kind of always had that mentality, like nobody's bigger than the program. And so just crazy the way that worked out. But I had Don for 4 years. That really helped me. COVID was my break. So COVID comes in. Don was going to do that last year because we had a couple really good players that were going. Actually, they were going to be juniors, so I think he was going to do 2 more years. And they transferred out, like they left, because we had Phoenix Union decided not to proceed with the season for that winter sport. And so when that happened, I believe they even canceled football. Then they canceled all of winter. And when that happened, the AIA opened it up and said anybody from Phoenix Union wanting to transfer out. It was Phoenix Union, it was Tolleson Union, and I believe Glendale. Kids just left because they wanted to play.
Yeah.
And so that was my break. They said, hey, good luck. Don said, hey, you could be interim because they offered us, our stipend still because it wasn't our fault that they were canceling the season.
Yeah. Good for them. Phoenix Union showed love, huh? You ain't got to coach these funky ass kids.
So
but
we
here's your
still
love.
got paid. And then they said, well, if you would like, it's an optional season during the spring. So we still had baseball and volleyball and other things going on, but they said you can have a season if you'd like, and we opted in. But Don said, hey, this is your time to shine. You could be the interim coach now and do your thing. And so we had 14 freshmen. We played 8 games. We won 1 against Metro Tech. I played. So my mindset was I was going to play all the best. I was going to play all the best schools.
I hate Metro. I love Metro. Metro Tech is an interesting. If you're Phoenix Union, because they didn't have sports for a while.
They didn't have sports.
They didn't have sports. So like they don't have a history of sports, BC. So like it was just it was a trade school. Like it was you go there
vocational.
Vocational. It was a straight vocational school. And man, they have teams now. But it's just funny because like we played at Bourgade. We played in their summer league. And I think we beat them like 100-9. And I was telling the girls, stop, like run the offense, like don't be, like, and they were. It was like 103-9. But one thing I'll say is I know the girls coach over there, and really good guy. Really good guy. Like he was with those kids all the time. I don't know much about the boys coach. I know.
So Mario ended up stepping down. He's in administration now. He's actually at Central. I don't know if you remember him. He played for Joseph at North, and he played for Darren at North too. So
Mario,
there's some
what's
history
his
there.
last name?
Mario Murillo.
Oh no.
I want to say he graduated. I think he graduated after me. I want to say it was class of 2010. He might have been 09.
Okay.
But I think it was 2010. He was there for a few years, and he actually took him to like a 9-8 record or something like that,
which is great for them.
That's huge.
It's great.
That was big time.
Absolutely.
And then now a Central alum is actually just got the job.
Oh, there you go.
So he had a parent meeting, I want to say last week. His name is George. I'm trying to think of his last name. George. I have it in my phone. Esperanza.
Did he coach the girls at Central?
He did.
Oh, yeah, I know this guy has a beard.
Yeah, so he's the head boys
coach.
Oh,
that's
now.
funny. We smacked Central when he was the coach there, but he didn't really have much either. So
yeah.
But anyways, back to you. So you hit your break at COVID, interim coach. You play the season. Obviously, COVID season was what, 10 games?
It was whatever games that you could get.
Which you could get scheduled.
To,
got you.
Because everyone else already had a season. So
were
really,
you nervous?
Not really.
Or did you feel prepped?
So
I feel like that's always an interesting one as a coach.
Don, my mentor, Dominguez, he was a military guy. He was in the Marines, and so he was always looking for smoke. Like we had a really tough schedule when he was there, and we'd get our teeth kicked in. And so I adopted that same mindset, and so I scheduled Chavez twice. I'd scheduled Fairfax at the time; they were still good. I scheduled them twice. I scheduled. Who else did I schedule twice? There was 3 teams I scheduled twice, and then I scheduled Rodney. He was a first-year head coach. So when I first came in, I came in during COVID. Rodney came in during COVID. Dana White at North came in during COVID. Glenn Ellis, he's no longer at Camelback. He's at Eastmark, but he came in. So it was like 4 of us that came in all at the same time, all wanting to change the world. And so we ended up losing to Chavez twice. We played okay, but we were playing 14 freshmen.
Yeah.
We had 3
That's
seniors.
not a recipe for success.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. And then Tim Benedict, which coached, I think, with you a little bit at Bourgade, he ends up coming over and he wants to help out. And so he talked me into running the system, which is a run and gun, fast paced, 7 seconds or less offense. And we really didn't have shooters at the time. Like the freshmen thought they could shoot.
Oh, yeah.
And they would shoot decent in practice.
They could shoot at Oso Park,
Yeah.
but they couldn't shoot at in the game.
So we got ran out the gym that first game. We played Rodney and Carl Hayden, and they blasted us, man. They pressed us the entire game from start to finish. We ended up losing. I want to say it was like 103 to like, I don't know, 50 or 60. Like it was bad.
Okay.
40, 50 point loss. It was really bad. And luckily for those same freshmen, we ended up splitting with them their senior year. So we beat them at their place, and then we lost to them by 2 at our place there on senior night. Okay. But they got to at least avenge that bad loss their freshman year. So that was pretty cool. But my break came during COVID.
COVID, huh? So I guess during COVID, obviously you were still the interim coach. Did you have to like interview, go through the whole process again?
I did.
Did you want the job?
So,
like, is it one of those things? Because I feel like sometimes, like, as an interim coach, you like, because that's basically what I had was like a tryout, and I was like, yeah. They're like, so hey, do you want the job? You want to interview for it? And I just was like, I really enjoy coaching, so it's like, yeah. And I have no kids or family at the time, so it's like it was easy for me to really dive into it. But like, you know, you had a family, kids, you know, how did that process go?
So I knew I wanted it. I had already had, so they waited to interview. There was some hiccups with like the interviewing process and everything. So they waited until like the end, like May, like 10th. And so I had already had the summer built out. Like there was money invested. People were already paid for summer leagues and stuff. And so I still had to interview. Luckily for me during my time, like Don had always talked about like, hey, this isn't forever for me. Like you need to have everything ready and lined up. And so I already had my coaching philosophy. I had everything built out. And so as soon as we eventually got the interview on the panel, like we had to do it on Teams. So that sucked. So it wasn't like an in-person one. Yeah. So I had to like screen share and show them like, you know, slides and stuff. And that ended up being the difference with me getting it or not. Cause I don't know exactly who. I think it was the coach that's at Greenway now as an assistant, but it was at Deer Valley at the time. He interviewed against me and did really well. Like they told me that after the interview. They go, man, this guy gave you a run for your money, just so you're aware. Like he scored really high. You beat him out, but really it was the slides and how passionate you were about this program. So I absolutely wanted the job. I knew we were young and I knew we were going to get better. And if you look at the record, like every year we got better since with that group. Like they set the foundation for who we were.
That's interesting. Yeah, because I think like obviously you wanted the job, but it's like everybody could want a job, but how are you going to move forward with it, right? And you said you had you had everything in line and the way it needed to be. So moving forward, you mentioned this, your coaching philosophy. You know, for the future people, obviously we're here to highlight you. This isn't about me or BC. Even though we're going to go outside and play some ones right now. No, I'm just kidding. No, but you know, what's your philosophy? Tell me, what's your philosophy as a coach?
So
why would I want to send my kid to Maryville?
Because they're going to be cared for. They're going to be loved first and foremost. I genuinely believe that like if you do for these kids, like you show up for them, you have the gym open, you do extracurricular stuff, you make sure tutoring is first and foremost. We've sent several kids to college, not for athletics, but for academics. And so just making sure you put that to the forefront. But like, again, my generic philosophy is the whole play hard, play smart, play together. But kind of just making it in a nutshell, we just want to be there for these kids and see them grow up and be good men, regardless of that. And if you do that, I think you'll get those higher level kids that can actually like hoop at the next level. That'll all kind of fall in line. It'll take care of itself. And so that's the biggest thing that I think parents and people that are in the program see that, oh man, you actually care about these kids and how they do after things. Like I'll hit parents up and say, hey, how's such and such hamstring? I know he was limping at practice, or I know this. And this is a constant thing. And that they realize like I show up to birthdays, I show up to quinceañeras, I'll pull up. And so weddings, I've been to baby showers, I've been to first birthdays of athletes. And so that's what it's like. That's what it is. That's what, when you're a Panther, like you got me for life. And so that's how it is.
Love that. You said that you're a Panther, you got me for life. How hard is it to get kids to go to Maryville with the stigma of all of, you know, I'm not even going to get into the recent stuff because I think we're going to chat about that a little bit later, but Maryville is a tough neighborhood. It's not for the weak, right? Like you got to either, you know, sometimes, you know, life puts you in a position, you're like, oh, I'm in Maryville, you know, I got to figure things out, you know, and it's between Maryville and Trevor, like it's some of the toughest neighborhoods, you know. What is, how hard is it to, you know, when you talk to parents to, you know, explain that to them?
So one of the things I tell them is this, Maryville is in a unique pocket because it's one of the biggest, like, smaller suburbs or in Phoenix. So if you look, it spans from like the 101 all the way down to the I-17, and then it's from the I-10 all the way into, I believe it's Camelback.
Okay.
That's a large surface area. And so anytime something happens within that corridor, they slap Maryville on it. So for example, this was probably 2016. There was a shooting on 83rd Avenue in Camelback. And they're like, oh my God, there's a shooting at Maryville. And so I'm getting phone calls and stuff. I'm in class.
It's
like,
nowhere
yeah, my family, my friends are like, hey man, is everything okay? Are you good? Like, when I took the job there as an assistant coach, you know, I wasn't even working there. People were like, hey, are you sure? Like, you know, you're going to be safe? Like, those kids are rough or this and that. And I'll be honest, when I came in that first day, no joke, one of my kids had a neck tattoo. And he looked a little kind of grizzly, had a little bit of scruff. I remember thinking like, oh man, this kid looks tough, you know?
Yeah.
And
tell yourself, you think I could get him?
Yeah.
Then in your head, you're like, you think I could get him? I think I could get his ass.
I was worried about that. And so, but ultimately that kid ended up being the biggest sweetheart in the world. And so you can't judge a book. And so anytime something happens in that corridor, man, it just sucks that the stigma goes on us. But what I've always said is Trevor Brown's also in Maryville. And with that, they don't have the stigma as much as we do because we wear the name of the community.
Absolutely.
And with that comes responsibilities. And so I think when we step on a court, and I've had officials tell me this straight up, like, yo, my officials were talking about you guys before the game, like the partner or whatever. And they said they're going to come in, they're going to ref you guys hard because you guys are a rough group.
Yeah.
And that's unfair, but I understand it. It's life, and
It's
life's
the
not
reality.
fair.
Absolutely.
And it's our reality. So we got to move forward and carry ourselves to a higher standard. Just as athletes in general, because we represent our community, represent our family, represent the coaching staff. And so I think even representing Maryville, for all the stigmas we have, we got to kind of raise the bar a little bit. And so we try to coach our guys hard so that way they can navigate in the community.
Absolutely. I think that's important, right? Because obviously, like, I need this in a lot of your kids, and this is just right. Like, homes are effed up, right? Like, you know, the homes are effed up. I'm trying to figure life out, you know, in that one place where you've been now at Maryville, you know, all together. Correct me if I'm wrong. Since 18 you got there, or 16?
So I got there the 14-15 school year.
14, 15. So you've been there for 10 plus years now. So you are a face that they've probably seen,
Facts.
you know, their whole life, you know, and I
Facts.
think that's important.
Starting to coach the little siblings and the siblings.
Yeah,
of
exactly.
siblings.
It's consistency, right? So I think that's important in that area, right? Is to have positive, I always say this, black and brown figures in their faces, right?
Facts.
Like, you have to have that. I always give all of my friends a hard time because I give BC a hard time because I'm like, BC, you need to be coaching, man. These fucking kids, they need
Facts,
you, bro.
facts.
These
We
kids
do.
need. And BC's like, man, you know what I'm saying? They ain't paying me enough, you know. But I know BC, he's a really good-hearted person. If you ever tell him, hey, give me a call, he'll be right there in a heartbeat.
I'll leverage that.
And
Don't tell me that,
there's
'cause
so
I'll
many
call
people.
I will.
No, because I have a buddy, Darren Dorsey. He does the pod with us as well, and he's a pro. He's a pro.
I played with him.
You know,
back in the
Darren.
day.
So like, I'm
Open
like,
runs and
Darren.
stuff.
I was like, Darren, like, you got to start coaching. He's like, I don't know, yeah, man. Maybe I'll get there eventually. But it's. I think you can attest to this. You're never ready for coaching. Coaching just finds you, and I think
It does.
COVID just found with COVID, it just found you, right?
It
You
worked out.
you were always going to coach at some capacity and whatnot, but COVID was that break for you. So moving forward, like we said, Maryville's a tough area. There's a really bad incident that went down over there recently, and I don't really want to get into the incident, but I want to get into how does Maryville move forward from that, you know, and you as that, you know, main figure on campus, right?
Yeah.
Coach Smith, you know, how do you, you know, move forward with your players? How do you coach them up even more? Because now going into the season, that stigma is with you guys. How do we take it and move forward with it?
Yeah. So kind of rebounding from the situation, obviously the situation is unfortunate. I reached out to my parents kind of in real time just after the incident occurred, just to assure them that their kids were safe. I feel an obligation to all of my families, but especially for my basketball team, to reach out to them and kind of let them know what's going on, the details that I could disclose. And so I let them know we had a situation that was critical and that, you know, all their boys that were on the team are safe. And one of the moms, unfortunately, there was a video that came out of it right away. And she saw the video and she thought that was her son. And so I go over, I pull him out of the class. We're in lockdown, but just to make sure she could talk to him because she was hysterical. Like, she was vomiting, like she was sick. And so just to let her know that he's okay. And then moving forward from that, just letting the boys know that I'm here for them if they need anything, because they were hurting, right? Like it affected everybody differently. And so our boys were hurting behind it. And so just letting them know if they needed to talk, I'm here for them. But then also to give them space, because as parents, they're gonna do what they have to do. And I didn't want to have any part in that, because if they did make the decision to jump and go anywhere else, transferring wise, I didn't want them to make that decision to stay or go based on my recommendation. Because I don't want to hold that. I don't want to be the person that is controlling or manipulating kids. That's never something that I feel comfortable with.
It's a weird thing to do as an adult.
Facts. And so with that being said, I saw the true colors of a lot of my colleagues around the state, because as you guys know, I have Adrian Stubbs, that's a top player in the state. And we'll talk about him, I'm sure, a lot later. But people were offering gas cards and you name it. I'm seeing these messages
jumping at
in.
it.
They're jumping at it. They smelled blood in the water,
tragedy,
so to speak.
man.
They were trying to do that. And these same people were messaging me saying, hey, bro, if there's anything I can do for you, let me know. And
Slimes.
so
very slimy.
I saw very clearly who
Arizona basketball is a business now. It is not just a...
I saw very clearly who some of these guys are. But at the end of the day, like what I let his mom know and other people know is like, look, man, I'm going to be here. I'm going to let them do whatever it is that they need to do in that time to heal. And then we'll come together, because we didn't do anything the rest of that week. The school went virtual. And then coming back from that, what does that look like? And so we got the guys back, and I said, hey, look, listen, actually that same weekend, I asked the parents, would it be too soon? We got invited to play for Phoenix Rising. Like, should we still go? Or do you guys want to take more time and heal? Because it's not my place to, you guys tell me what you need at this moment. And they wanted to play. So we went and played. I want to say we lost in the championship at the freshman level. We didn't play varsity that time. It was our younger guys, the older guys, that let them get some space. Ultimately, Ace, Adrian Stubbs, he ended up making a post on Twitter right after the incident occurred. And he talked about both families kind of being shattered by this action, right? Like the tragedy that happened.
Of course.
It affected two families negatively, and we shouldn't rush to judgment on either side, and we should just understand and kind of be in the moment of two families just, in essence, lost their kids. They're both mourning the loss of two individuals. And so I thought it was very eloquently put by a 17-year-old to kind of take those actions, because we couldn't and still really can't speak to it because it's an ongoing investigation. So we stayed out of it, but the kids were kind of getting ahead of that. And I saw that leadership, and he posted, like, at no point in time, have I ever thought about leaving Maryville? Like, this is home. Like, he stays in the community. So
that's awesome. Yeah, no, he's a good kid. He comes from his family's amazing. His mom's amazing. We had him at Bourgade for a little bit. And he got tired of us, so he got up out of there.
When I tell you the phone call I had with Tesh, because I didn't know how good he was. I had seen him around in the community and stuff, and like I told his mom, I told him he was a little bit demonstrative, so I didn't know. I like kids that are coachable and kind of mild mannered.
You gotta get to know him a little bit.
You have to get to know him.
He's sick.
It's funny because my friend John Chavez told me, he's like, there's this kid, he's coming to Bourgade. I brought him, whatever the case may be. I told him about the school, he's gonna come. And he's like, he reminds me of you though. He's just arrogant, but you got to get to know him, and then you'll love his arrogance, and you'll love his confidence. And I'm like, man, I'm like, man, F that kid, ain't nobody like me,
Hey, but you know what's crazy? He low key, he has a lot of your traits.
But when watching him play, he don't like a shot that he shoots every shot, but their quality shot always on balance. He's a good kid. We'll get into the basketball nerd stuff later, but he's a really good kid. And again, he's a great kid, but his mom is amazing. Like his mom his mom is amazing. Like she's a super nice lady. She used to watch our girls' games, and I'd be cussing our kids out. But anyways, we'll get back.
You guys would play like kind of girls and boys together.
Girls would go first, boys would go second. Smaller school stuff. But yeah, that's awesome. So moving forward, Maryville is in a really good. I think Maryville is in a good place right now in the sports that we enjoy: football, basketball, the urban sports. They obviously have you. You've been there for a while, and they also have a set of twin brothers that are doing great things in Maryville. Shoot, they started selling merch the second day they got hired. It felt like
it was before they were on. Like they had
merch in there.
They had it locked and loaded.
They had somebody process it the day they got that call. But
for real,
no. But I think it's in a really good place. place, and I was talking to my buddy John Chavez. I was like, it's unfortunate that this situation happened because of the things that you're doing, because of the things that they're doing. And I think moving forward, it's just going to be a little bit tougher for you guys, right? But it's still doable for you guys to really bring it back. But
it is.
I know I have my friend, John Pena, JP, who was a legend at Maryville, Marcus, all of these guys, JP's brothers and whatnot. But one thing that bothers me a lot is, how do we get that old feeling back? Or is that old feeling even able to bring back a Phoenix Union? We talked about this a little bit off of camera, but like that feeling of like getting ready for the Phoenix Union tournament, or, all of that stuff where it was like, I cannot wait to see the Rhymes brothers at Carl Hayden. I cannot wait to play against Daniel. Even though DB and them were going to crush us, I was like, I'm going to get 18 in this game, though. I'm going to high score.
I'm going to get a small win.
Like I can't wait to kill Alhambra, or even I can't wait to kill Maryville or South, or Chavez, all of these, I get to see Booker at Chavez. Oh, I need that. Like I need, that feeling I feel like is not, maybe I'm wrong because I'm a step out, but you tell me.
So you're not wrong in the sense of like, you brought up Booker. Booker was one of the most ridiculous athletes, and it sounds like you're one of those same guys.
Peep the calves. No, I'm just playing.
No. I peeped it when he was walking up the stairs. This guy's, he has calves for sure. So Booker, I watched him because Central, Darren had gymborees, it seemed like every weekend
he ain't had no
for
life.
all the months. Like we were always in the gym watching other teams running the scoreboards and all that other stuff. And so I watched Booker jump over somebody.
Yeah.
Like just smooth jump over somebody and dunk the ball.
Book was crazy.
In game. Like the dude tried to like take a charge.
He did the I think he did the Tom Chambers where he jumped
over Mark Jackson.
Yeah, he jumped over dude.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And so those athletes right now, just in today's like social landscape of sports, at least on the basketball side, they're getting plucked boom, right away. So we have kids again in our community that are going prep, and it doesn't really matter which prep they go to. I think that's saturated the market because now preps, when they used to be a thing, they were post grad. It was graduates getting an extra year to kind of fight their way up.
Alternative.
Yeah.
But now what's happening is it's now becoming an alternative to our school, and then even more than that, they're stacking it. So what it looks like is, again, not to kind of name any one school, but let's just say like Falcon Prep.
Yeah.
Falcon Prep has 7 teams. And so, well, what is a kid on a D team or E team, like what is he actually getting out of the experience? And so that's tough. I think that's a tough sell because it's so many teams that how can any one team get actual attention and kind of be specialized and be a quote unquote varsity team? And that's tough because, again, some of those C team, E team, D team players could be playing within our Phoenix Union boundaries because those kids are leaving us to go to them. I just watched a podcast the other day and it talked about this. It says like prep versus public. Like what's the ask? So one of the things, we have a class that just came in of 29 players that are special. But one of the things in talking to some of these kids, because they were at a prep school, so I've asked them in no uncertain terms, how was your experience? And they were learning online, virtual learning. And they were like, a lot of times they didn't feel like they learned anything because they were on the computer, they're Googling some of the answers or, things like
Chat
that.
GPT,
like
baby.
And so they didn't really feel like they were learning. And so getting back to the classroom was a little bit of struggle for some of them. Other ones, they were fine. But one of the things that they talked about was, I didn't know about, like one of them was in a piano class and he's like, I never thought about they enrolled late. And so they ended up in a piano class and they couldn't move it around or whatever, but they liked the piano class. Like they didn't know that they liked this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so some of
I
them
took
played
piano
golf.
at Central.
That's dope.
When Bustos was kind of let loose a little bit, I take another elective other than your 7th hour PE. It was like, yeah, go ahead. And I was like, I'll take piano. You know what I'm saying? So
See, and that's cool. I think that's the difference between like public schools, just the experience. So they're like, oh man, like this school has this school has that. Even though they were at a prep school that they had all these cool facilities and they got to train all day, now they get to go to class all day and they get to learn, they get to have different experiences in different classrooms with different kids that they wouldn't at that prep. They get to go to dances and football games and stuff like that. And that's the biggest sell that I have to parents that are on the fence about prep or public school. It's like, would you like your kid to have a well-rounded experience and not only find value in hoop? Because at the end of the day, like a day is going to come where they're not playing anymore. And so what does life look like for you? Because you've only ever been a basketball player. And I remember the second time I hurt my knee in 8th grade, I remember vividly, I was crying. I was
Hurting your
upset.
knee in 8th grade is crazy.
It's
That
insane,
is
bro.
crazy.
It's insane. It's insane. And then I was still decent after that, but in hurting my knee, I was like, man, this is the only thing I've ever been good at is like sports. And if I can't do this at a high level, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Like, I didn't think I was talented enough to do anything else. Like,
Nobody told you were. Nobody gave you the opportunity to, right?
No.
Yeah. It's like, yeah.
No. So just having those kids find other interests that will then I think help them be better basketball players. Like, I really do. There's critics of that belief and, they didn't specialize. They shouldn't do this. But we've had kids playing football, playing basketball.
You jump into another sport.
Yeah. And so I believe, too, when you specialize in a sport, sometimes there's specialized injuries that come with that, i.e. mine. I didn't play other sports. I played basketball, and that hardwood can do a number on your knees.
Yeah. So, how is the Metro region? Obviously, you said you got hired with Dana White. I've played basketball against him. I know him really well. Rodney, you got all of these guys. And, I see the Metro now, and I'm like, McClintock's in the Metro region?
Yeah,
like, when the hell is the
weird.
McClintock in the Metro? But, how do we keep those kids here? Like, what is the recipe to keep those kids here? Because, Tomas has a kid right now, or a little boy right now, and he has a daughter and a son who left Metro, the Metro region. Well, one ended up going back, but how do we keep those kids here, and how would you sell the Metro region to Tomas and his child, who's what grade is Santi in? 5th?
Nah, he's in the 4th grade right now.
Oh, damn.
We're
reclassifying him. That's why we're going to put him.
Yeah,
we're going to move him.
He's in the 4th grade, technically the 3rd, because I'm holding him back. It's a whole story. You can listen to the podcast.
Yeah. So to be clear, I'm not recruiting Santi. But what I would tell any prospective parent that's considering Phoenix Union or a Phoenix Union school is we're in the best place we've probably been since COVID, and that's led by Brian Fair, which is
Be Fair.
Be Fair. Be Fair is a dude. He's from South. He's from one of the last
UConn legend before Ray Allen went over there.
Can take a spot, but no, Be Fair is phenomenal. He knows hoop. He's played at a high level. He was that dude in Phoenix Union. He was the face of Arizona at one point, like for basketball. Again, I think one of the last perfect teams that we've ever had in Arizona that went 32-0 and won a state title. And I want to say that was in 92. I don't mean to age you, Brian, if you ever end up seeing this, because maybe it was 96, but I think it was 92. Because he ended up going to UConn, I want to say 92 or 93 with Ray Allen. But
no, he was there the year before. And then he played well. And then that's when Ray came in and,
Hey, it is what it is.
History.
Hall of Famer.
Hall of Fame. That's ain't no knock, right?
No,
like shit.
not at all.
It's not like Joe Blow came and took your job like a Hall of Famer
like a recognizable guy.
Like not no chump.
Name.
Like it's not no chump coming to take your job. So
arguably one of the greatest shooters. To live.
like bro, he's his jumper at that in the Heat. Who was it? The Heat in Spurs.
Yeah.
That jumper is like timeless, right?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
for
it's
real.
timeless for real.
So no, funny. Be Fair being at the helm, I think added a lot of legitimacy, and that's no knock on Zach Munoz. That was more of a football wrestling guy.
Okay,
but definitely for the basketball side, it added instant legitimacy, and he's a product. And I think they both were, but he's a product of Phoenix Union. He lives it, he breathes it, and then more importantly, and this is genuinely what I believe in my heart, is if you have your kids like he did at South Mountain with him as he was athletic director and the principal, you're putting your money where your mouth is. Like, so when I talk to parents that are, enrolling their kids at Maryville and they're asking me like, is my kid safe or are you ever scared or do you worry? I tell them my kids are here. Like just straight up, like my daughter's a junior at the school. My son's a freshman and they're here.
Yeah,
so
I love that.
Some legitimacy.
Hey, I love that right there, boy. That's real stuff, though, right?
It is.
Like I think Killer Mike says it right. Like, yo, I pay taxes in this community, so this is where my kid's gonna go to.
That's
school.
where it all starts at, is the community. Like you're keeping it in communities.
100%, absolutely.
And so that adds legitimacy to what I say, because like I literally care about this community. My kids are in it. Like if I didn't think whatever, I wouldn't have them there.
Absolutely.
And so that's kind of where I'm coming from. But no, man.
Do you guys got any big plans coming up with Phoenix Union? How are we gonna get our basketball programs? Because man, I hate. Like I know and this may sound like I'm a hater, but whatever. I don't care. Because I am a hater right now. But like I hate when I see like the Millenniums of the world, and I'm like Sandra Day is good. And I've been to these schools because I like the Valley Vistas, and
they're
and
nice
I'm like,
schools.
Yeah, they're beautiful schools, but like. you know, Phoenix Union, we got $1 million football fields. Like those
Yeah.
football fields ain't cheap, you know. And I'm like, why the West Valley? And I understand obviously with the why the West Valley, the boom over there and whatnot. But I'm like, we have to give Phoenix. I remember when it was a prize to like. I remember when Coach Lee at Chavez called me and was like, hey, I want you to come to. You know, I want you to come to. It was like a you know a medal of honor like that. I got Coach Archie Rhymes to call me like, hey, I want you to kind of hate it, like you know older, right?
Yeah.
You know, and then I had Bustos who called, and I'm like, Coach Darren Bustos, I want you to come to sit, and it was a badge of honor, you know. And I was like, and I feel like now we're at a point where you know potentially it isn't, but I think there's a lot of young coaches, you know, younger, you know, the Whites, you know, Rodneys, you know, and Bustos is like that old head that's still sticking around, like that Mike Krzyzewski that's still there. But you know, that's where I'm like, man, we gotta somehow get the communities back into keeping our kids in.
But I think you hit it on the head. Like, so Rodney's doing a phenomenal job in his area, which again is not unlike the area I'm in. It's a really, really low income area.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
It's rough. And so with that being said, he has kids coming from all over the state to go to that school because they believe in what he's doing.
Yes.
And so he's done a phenomenal job. And I just got off the phone with Andrew Sheriff. He's the new coach at Trevor Brown. And what I told him is it's important that we get together. Again, we don't have to be best friends, but we got to be on the same page with how we roll things out with respect to how we deliver the packaged product. Like I'm showing him like, hey, this is what I do. Not necessarily all of my practice plans, but this is what we do for practice. This is how we build it out. This is how we do a tryout. This is what we do. So that way you could be successful, because if we're more successful as a union, they get those Freedom Game wins, that helps me.
Yeah.
But some coaches are short-sighted, and a lot of, unfortunately, Phoenix Union coaches were short-sighted. Yeah. We want to cannibalize each other, not realizing that
you're helping each other.
The East Valley, and I've talked to those coaches, they're like, oh yeah, man, we send all your tape of us playing each other.
Oh yeah,
just because they want to guarantee that they're going to beat us.
Oh yeah,
and so we've been on the same page a lot more. Like me and Rod talk quite a bit about stuff like that. Sheriff, he's going to come in the fold. He's going to really build it up over there at
got to rebuild that rivalry, right?
Yeah, because it's been lopsided here recently. They got us on a couple buzzer beaters a couple years ago, but no, I think all time since I've been the head coach, I think I'm like 8-2 against them or something like that.
Yeah,
so
but to be fair, I mean, Trevor got the terrible colors, bro. They got to do something with it.
It's rough.
With the orange,
the orange and brown. That's so bad.
Yeah, it is.
It's like Sam Houston State.
But their facilities are actually really nice.
I was gonna say, don't get it
facilities in Phoenix Union.
Don't get it twisted though. And Trevor has some ballers. Mario, Meach. Freaking before that, they had
a dude named Ty Morrison. That
I was gonna say
next.
That's what I was just gonna get.
He was different.
Yeah,
exactly. 6'8".
Kevin Woodbury.
Kevin Woodbury. All of them dudes, right?
Dudes.
So they have a history of good athletics, and
all time they're ahead of us in wins.
Oh, really?
Against Maryville, yeah.
That's interesting.
We're trying to change that. But yeah.
That's awesome. So moving forward, I think let's get into your current season, right? You told us, your family, amazing story. That's honestly what I'm most impressed about. F the wins, F all that. But I really want to get into the season, man. What does it look like for Metro? Your guys are 6A, right? So who do you guys have?
6A. So in our region is South Mountain.
They got a brand new coach.
South Mountain. He was there last year. I believe it was his first year.
Yeah. Joseph.
And he's an alumni from South.
He played when I was there. When we used to tax them, he was on the team.
Yeah, and I remember beating them before that too. So
oh man.
But with that being said, though, they did win a state title my sophomore year. So there was that.
Oh, that's right.
That
when David Grace left.
Yeah, that was
he
David
left,
Grace.
It was up. But
they got so you have South. Is Trevor?
South Trevor, Chavez, and Camelback. There's
gotcha.
four of them in there for 5 total teams in the 6A Metro. So going back to what you asked earlier, because I didn't fully finish the thought. What are we doing to kind of galvanize Phoenix Union and make it better? Brian Fair is going to come out with some stuff a little bit later. The Metro might break up.
Oh, wow.
Like just straight up. Might break up.
That's going to break my heart right there if it does.
But if it does, it's in essence, it's kind of one of those like relationship type things. If you let it go, then if it comes back, then it's how you know. Because we've struggled with PowerPoints, we've cannibalized ourselves.
Very true.
So we're playing each other, and it's hurting us. So I'll give you, and not to knock South, but playing them twice last year, both times I fell back in the rankings because they were hurting me power points.
You win a game to lose 2 spots in power rankings.
Insane.
Yeah,
that's
such a
happen.
stupid thing. Yeah,
and so, but you have like the Premier with Brophy and all these guys, and every single one of those teams are in the playoffs, but we don't have a Metro team in. Like that's happened. And so what can we do to change that? Well, we have to disperse some of the equity, right? Like that way we can go and play a Premier team and maybe potentially knock them off, but it won't happen as it's currently constituted because we just cannibalize each other. So there is talks about re-envisioning what Metro looks like and or going away from it, but again, still having those freedom rivalries and keeping that together. He's also re-envisioning what the Phoenix Union tournament looks like and trying to bring back like a dunk contest, a three-point shootout.
I won the three-point.
Even in that, well, I told him when I had the coaches meeting with him, I said, man, we need to get back to this because that was fun. And that's what brought us all together. Like where I might not like somebody at South, but like I see them there. And then I was like, oh, that guy's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, I knew him just in that beef on the court, but outside of it, he's actually a cool dude because we had those moments. Now we don't. And so I think he's trying to do a lot of that stuff. And so I think that's going to be unfolding here shortly. If not this year, for sure next year there's some exciting things
that's interesting because I think you build from within. And again, I don't have the knowledge that Brian Fair has by no means, but I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you build from within and you build this powerhouse of a conference because when I was in 3A and we had to play the Chinleys, all of the reservation schools, it was the same thing, right? Like they're the bottom 2 teams would be 8 and 10 or 7 and 12, but they would make the tournament and they would end up knocking one of the top seeds off because, they played, tough, stiff competition all year, but they build from within, right? And that's a great region. Like if you ever get the chance to go watch them, but I also see the other side of it too, where it's like, hey, we disperse a little bit. We start playing the Brophies, we start hitting the the Chandlers or whatever the case may be, and we win those games. And then, like you said, the Freedom games come back. I guess in high, like I guess it makes sense. I just hate to see it break up because I enjoy those. But to be fair, I think, and I didn't say this. Us as a Metro region community, Tomas went to North, I went to Central. If BC, say you'd have probably rock with your boy at Central. You know what I'm saying? But we as a community of alum, we have to do a better job of really coming back to these communities.
Facts.
I think we do a terrible job of highlighting or even going back to a game because the $5 to $10 that I pay to get in a Maryville game. Shit, that goes a long way in your program.
It helps pay for our referees and all the things.
All that stuff, like these kids, they like nice gear, but how are they going to pay for it? We got to go to the games. We got to sponsor that. We have to be a part of that. And I think that's part of the problem too is, as much as we can talk all this junk about, hey, we want the Metro to stay, relevant and all this stuff, we got to do a good job of going back to those communities.
Facts. And some of that's on the coaches too. So this last year, we had a pretty special season. And I would argue not just for Maryville, but just in general, we had a pretty special season. We were the team of the month for the month of March, which was during March Madness. Circle K had us all over the state as the team of the month. This is coming off the heels of Central winning the state championship. So I was like, that's insane. But it just goes to show what a big community Maryville is and the footprint, and kind of they reached out for us for that honor. Then at the time we knock off Liberty, which was undefeated. They were 12-0.
That's a good squad
at their place. Mark called me the day after the game, and this is kind of a testament to who he is. He calls me the day after the game and goes, "Hey, coach, Richard Obert's running some stories," and he had already called me that night, but he goes, he's going to run a story, and he might say that, their best player had appendicitis and left right before the game started. His name is Steven Miller, stud. We game planned for him, so we were ready for that kid.
Yeah.
And then he's not there. And then 3 other kids hit us for 20 each. Ace just happens to go for 56. But he calls me the day after the game, and he goes, "I just want you to know your kids deserve that win. They played their tail off. Adrian had a special game, and you're doing a hell of a job, and I have nothing but respect for you. So if anything comes out saying that, you guys were less than based on him not being there, that just isn't the case. Obviously, we would love to have him and whatever, but no, super good dude, very helpful. And then you mentioned Gary Lee earlier, just been phenomenal. So after my first win, my official AIA career, which was against San Luis in San Luis, Arizona.
Hey, gotta get shout out to San Luis. They got a lot of people off the snide in football. The little Mexican homies over there, they love to catch an L or something.
Nah, for real. And then the crazier part was the coach calls me after the game and he's like, "Hey, by the way, some of our kids had COVID."
Oh,
so no joke, we popped like 3 or 4 kids popped positive for COVID that next week. But that was the first win. And Gary Lee calls me. It's like 1:00 in the morning because the score took so long to post because we're way out in the boondocks. He goes, "Hey, I just want to congratulate you on your first career win." And that's just the type of guy he is. So we don't have that. Those kind of, again, those guys that are been through it all and are willing to reach out and help. He's the elder statesman, man. That's the guy that, and
he's a knucklehead in his own right.
Darren's not so willing to share stuff.
Yeah, he's a knucklehead, boy.
But I still run a couple of his plays, and I really like them.
Oh my gosh,
so.
I'm sure they don't work. I'm sure they take at least 30 seconds to develop.
Bro, I still call white. Do you
oh my god,
that's our kid's favorite play.
Oh my god, I hate that stuff, man. You gotta get me down to there so I can help you guys get your offense more spread out. You know what I'm saying? But so what do you guys look like this year? You talked about that. You guys got Ace. You guys got a young crop of kids I've seen come in, and I've seen them develop a little bit.
So off the top of my head, there's obviously we had Adrian, which was a second team All-State last year, so one of the 10 best players in the state as far as the AIA goes. He's returning. Then you have our second team kid, which is David Hermio. He transferred into us from St. Mary's last year. Really phenomenal. He's a really good shooter. After that, you have another second-team kid in Junior Garcia, Jose Garcia. He's tough as nails, led the state in charges, which is kind of the dirty work. People don't get a lot of credit for that. But he's a little bitty, man, but he has a heart of a lion. And then you had our honorable mentions in Michael Montgomery, which was a freshman last year. He's really made a jump in his athleticism. He's like dunking on people now and stuff. Yeah. It's pretty scary. And then you have Abram Moreno Salazar, which is a senior as well. And those guys are tough as nails. We have a young class of kids coming in that are pretty tough. And so I think we're going to, like I talked about earlier, we're going to have the best possible season we can to send our seniors out the right way. But we do have some pieces for the future, man, for the foreseeable future. Seeing the little write-ups and stuff online, whether it be Greg Rosenberg or there's a new guy that I'm not too familiar with, but he's out of Chicago. Last name is like Bowden.
Yeah.
He's doing write-ups and stuff on some of our kids. And so that's positive. Any type of positive press we'll take.
Yeah.
Because we need it. Even like this. Like I thank you guys for the opportunity to be here and talk to you guys and shed light on the program and kind of what we're doing and how we care about our community and our kids at Maryville.
So absolutely. We gonna win the region?
That's the plan.
That's the plan.
That's the plan.
We're gonna go some hot takes now. We gotta ask some hot takes. No. We gonna win the region. How's Chavez look? They all right? So Chavez, who's the main? In the region who's competing right now?
If you look through Max Preps, which again I think it was like established in like 2007 or something like that. It was
like 6.
Yeah. So
this fool knows
of the stats that are there, like wins all time and stuff. We've never beat Chavez. So
Maryville has never beat Chavez.
We have,
okay,
but like
within the last
Max Preps,
okay,
0. It's like it's a goose egg, and then it's like 37 or 38, something like that.
Crazy.
Yeah,
that's a crazy stat right there.
So
that's a crazy.
That's motivation for the kids.
No, it is.
Yeah.
It is. It's bulletin board material.
Changing.
So we were leading at their place, and they zoned us last year, threw us in a tailspin. They end up winning the game. They come to our house. We're up with 5 seconds left. They hit a half-court shot down there to win it. Lex Klontz, he's going to be at Embry-Riddle now.
Oh, yeah.
The funny part about it is, and this is kind of what you talked about with regions and rivalries and all this stuff and making it bigger than just hoops. Afterward, our video guy released the video of him making the shot because how special of a moment is that for that kid?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And so I could have said, hey, we're not posting this out, but it's bigger than that. Like that kid had a moment and it just happened to be our senior night and we lose. But we don't duck smoke. Like I could have moved that game so we could have had an easier game.
You could have played, you could have stayed in San Luis for a senior night.
But that's 2 years in a row. The last year we lost by 2 to Hayden for senior night. But again, I don't duck smoke. Our kids don't. We embrace it. We embrace that.
You got to embrace the challenge, especially in high school sports. Because I always tell people, if this is the highlight, I used to tell my kids, if this is the highlight of your life, I failed you as a coach. You know what I'm
Facts.
saying? Whether this is the highlight of your, athletic portion, or you need to have more highlights than this. So these moments, they're moments, but these moments are just stepping stones for you to go do something special.
It should never be the pinnacle.
Absolutely.
Facts.
So
They're
it's
just
like,
chapters in your
and like you said, Coach Smith, is like, you want to say, like, I could have been a jerk, but this was a moment for that kid, right?
Facts.
That kid, and I want him to enjoy it, and I hope he enjoys it, and I hope it's a stepping stone for him where he goes next. I think he's going NAI, right?
So he's at Embry-Riddle.
right?
So the funny part is he's training in my gym later on that summer.
I see that.
And I tell him, I said, hey, look, listen, man. I go,
He was probably hot.
that wasn't cool, bro. I go, wasn't cool what you did to us. And so we give him a hard time. But his father's phenomenal. His coach, Marcus Wright, over there at Chavez, does things the right way. I do really, really want to beat them this year and change that donut to a 1 and a 2.
Yeah.
A 1 and a 2.
I would get 2, so we got to grab 2 of them. We got to grab 2 of them.
That's the plan. That's what we want to do. Our kids, they're not ducking anything. We want to win our region. That's the plan. Again, how that looks, I don't necessarily know, but we want to do it in convincing fashion if possible.
Awesome. All right. You got a special kid. We talked a little bit about Adrian, and I just want to talk a few minutes about how is it coaching him? You said a lot of things already. He's in the community. He's a great kid. He comes from a great family. But as a coach, I think I've had a lot of. I've only coached for 7 years, and I've had a good share of kids, and Tomas's daughter was one of them, and it was special to watch her lead. And one thing that I've learned is when you have a good kid, you just get out of their way.
Facts.
And I think all kids are different in their own ways, right? Like, I think I was a great basketball player, but I needed somebody to yell at me and keep me in check because I was a knucklehead.
Come on.
Yeah, I needed that because I was a knucklehead. So it's like, when you have kids like that, how do you coach them? How does Coach Jeremy Smith coach them?
So for him, and what I've tried to explain, because there's been some comparisons between even other teammates of like, oh, well, you let him do that, or you let him do
absolutely.
this. And one of the things specifically was a splitting 2 defenders and throwing the ball out and going to get it. That became a point of contention because everybody was trying to do it. And it's like, hey, you can't do this. And so one of the kids, in no uncertain terms, I subbed his ass out because he made that mistake. Throws the ball out. He falls down. They don't call foul. He's frustrated. I sub him out, and he's like, well, you let Adrian do it. And I said, hey, you don't want to go there, buddy. Like, and it's no disrespect.
I would have called a full timeout. I would have called a full. I'd have been, hey, ref, full. He'd be like, it's not your ball. Tee me up. I need to talk to this kid.
No, so in real time, the bench did the talking, and so he sat down for a little bit. He got to stew in it, and I had to tell him, like, look, man, like, everything's not equal, because that turnover that you just did, Ace is going to go get me 2 or 3 steals. So even if he did turn it over, it evens out. And so, and so the other thing is with shot selection, he might come down and take a heat check 3, but he's our primary scorer, and he has a little bit more leash because, again, he's leading the country in steals at one point. Yeah, he finished 8th overall. He just has better ability. Country. Yeah, and it's what it is. Yeah. But once we understood that and made that very clear, then that allows him to go out and have that 56-point game, which is the second all time in the history of 6A basketball. Only Nico Mannion scored more, which again was an NBA guy. Now he's overseas. Yeah, he scored 57. So
it was good company.
And I didn't know this in real time.
Yeah, you would have left him in there.
I could have. No, he was there till the last minute. That game was to the wire. He had a game winner to actually win it. But in real time, and I like to live in moments, and so we didn't even call a timeout. Like in the end, we let him dribble it out and kind of go up for an and one game-winning free throw line pull-up at the nail. So with him, I let him play. Okay. And so with my players, we let them play. We let them play through adversity, play through struggles. I'm not the coach that, and because we played for a coach that would yank somebody's, yank them out quick, and then confidence gone. You're sitting on the bench upset.
That's why I was 60% from the field, because I knew if I missed, get them out of there.
Yeah, you're done. So with that being said, I've been in that system where you're yanked at the drop of a hat. Something happens. And so I didn't want my kids to come up in that. And so they're allowed a little bit of a leash to play through some stuff. And they know, again, you miss a layup, hey, I could live with that. I used to tell my assistant coach, because he's very critical. So you miss a layup, he's kind of one of those, come on, bro, you're missing layups. And I'm like, hey, you don't think he knows that?
Yeah, he's already dealing with that in his head.
Everybody in the gym knows he missed that layup. He's already in his head. Lift him up. And so we say, like, don't call kids out, call them up. And if we are going to call them out, let's do it kind of like me and you are here. We'll talk about it.
Like constructive.
My favorite thing to say when I coached was, so what, now what?
Yeah.
And so
facts.
what? You missed the layup. What are you gonna do now? What are you gonna do about it? You know what I'm saying? So that was my big thing that I always use, because you're right, bro. You miss a layup and you're a kid. Oh, damn, this is
you're
embarrassing.
embarrassed.
It just changed the whole thing
Yeah,
of
you
the
just
game.
change your
Yeah.
whole thinking, bro. So the next time and especially don't let it be an opposite hand layup too.
Right.
Like, oh, I just went on my left, and it's like, oh, I'm not even gonna try go on my left.
facts.
You already know how kids
Facts.
are. That's interesting.
But it seems like for you looked at the way you guys were coached, and you took your coaching philosophy to something totally different.
Yeah.
day and night. It sounds like, right? I was gonna say day and night.
You have to do that, because that's like we talk about, like, you learn more in a loss. It's like when you're being coached, you learn what you don't like, and so then you could realize, like, okay, if I didn't like that, hell, these kids probably don't like it either. So let me pivot.
Yeah.
Let me do some things, and that's not necessarily a complete 100% knock on our high school coach. Like, he's a phenomenal dude. He did a lot of great things. Offensive mind, like, he can do those things. Like, he just likes shooters.
Yeah.
I didn't have a lot of shooters, so a lot of his stuff I couldn't run.
Absolutely.
I'm more downhill to the cup, and I was a more downhill player, and so that's why sometimes I struggled in that system, because I wasn't a knockdown 60% shooter. I was more getting to the cup, finishing at the rim.
Absolutely.
But that wasn't the offense we ran, so so I struggled in that sometimes at parts. But nah, man, that's the plan, is to try to win the region. Adrian Stubb's phenomenal to coach. A lot of our guys are very selfless. They want to play for each other. But we are having some growing pains, just in the sense that we do have a lot of young talent, and they don't know where we came from, right?
Yeah.
Like the winless season.
Oh yeah, they just know their AAU. Like, hey, we get the MVP.
Sometimes you got to remind them.
Yeah,
though.
you got to
somebody's
remind
gotta
their
remind
asses
them.
sometimes.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
So we're having
them
that.
big-headed young kids that come in. Well, that's great, man. I think the last question I have for you is, we got a few viewers. We got more than a few. We got a lot of people that check our stuff out. We have a lot of people who are potentially can help in some way, but this is what I'm going to tell all the coaches that we have. I think we're going 4. I think we're going to do 4 this year. What can we do as a community to help you? If you ever give us a call, something like that, you tell us what can we do as a community, and you're talking to everybody out there on that camera.
Okay.
What can we do to help, help these kids become better men, help them be law-abiding citizens, help them be better basketball players,
Yeah.
things like that.
I think the primary thing people think about when you ask how can you help is money. That's not the only way. Money would be great. You could do tax credit donations, which is $400 for a single individual, $400 for a married couple, and you get 100% of that back on your taxes. So you could do that for any Phoenix Union school or any school in general. Primarily Maryville boys basketball, but
there's a tab. It's just right there in the middle.
I'll send you the link. Commenting on the YouTube, and I'll send it to you. But besides that, like last year, we had 4 engineers come out and talk to the boys pregame about just life and what they're doing and how they're making their family just generationally, like they're breaking curses. All of them happen to be alumni from Maryville specifically. We had a singer, I'm blanking on her name, so I apologize for that, but she came out, she sung the national anthem for us. She talked about opening up for Bad Bunny and some other big Latino artists. And so we had, I think all in last year, at least for all of the home games. So we had 9, I think we had a 10th home game. So we had 10 guest speakers come out and talk to the boys about life, just in general, like life, how they're making their money, what they're doing to be successful. And all of them were, if not Maryville alumni, they were Phoenix Union alumni, because that young lady graduated from South Mountain. But just breathing life into my kids and talking to them about, what life was like, what struggles they faced as teenagers, how they came out of it, what they're doing now, how they make their money. The kids, they talked about taxes and W-2s and just stuff that we don't really think about, especially not little kids. And so
absolutely.
It was really cool. So
you don't need a Benz. Just get a Toyota Corolla. You're going to get your license in it. You know
facts,
what I'm saying?
Facts.
You'll be straight.
I pulled up in a Corolla right now. Like it was a part of the Toyota family, but showing up to a game, showing up matters. Showing up matters. Pull up. Even if you're just buying a little bit of concession, like all those dollars go straight to the school. I know a lot of our teams are starting booster clubs right now.
They need to. Booster clubs are important, man.
They really are.
Let me rephrase that. I don't want to say the name, but I just said the name. They run their booster club to the T, and those kids are, I'm not going to put them on blast, but they do a great job. They do a great job with their booster club.
So we're kind of getting in that area. Like a lot of, I know Rod's starting one, like we're starting one, like it's starting to happen. And then you're going to see that just be invested in the kids tenfold. Like they're going to be having nicer outfits and
absolutely
tracksuits.
It's important.
And backpacks. And that's what matters, because when we go to these other schools, our kids feel like, oh man, like we talked about earlier, the canyon views of the world. They have this big, nice college-looking campus that's beautiful. And I'm telling my kids, like, we can't compete with that because our school was built in 1963. You know what I'm saying?
So much you can do, right?
Yeah, like we got what we got as far as facilities go, but you're not going to get a second class experience because we're going to do everything we can to raise the money to get you guys all the things you need. And so Phoenix Union is really rich with resources, a little bit cash poor, but really rich with resources. So we have decent facilities. Like if you guys come to the Phoenix Union main gyms and stuff, they're decent.
No,
like,
they're absolutely
They're
bad.
solid.
No,
Yeah,
they're
they're not
great.
solid.
Shoot, compared to Alabama, your gyms were the cracker box gyms.
We said those things rocking though.
I tell people this all the time. Like some of the gyms I played with at the university level, they
they're
were
not that
smaller.
nice.
They
Yeah.
were smaller than the gyms that we played at, and they were smaller than South. Maryville's gym was bigger. They got 2 stories in Maryville. Like
That's a crazy thing when you come from other parts of the country. You see what Phoenix has. You're like, you guys have so much.
Yeah,
stuff.
we're rich with resources
absolutely.
and land and just space. Like
So, we're going to do the best we can to obviously do anything we can. Again, obviously, I'm a washed up athlete, but when it comes to X's and O's, I'm amazing. I can break down film to the T. My guy right here, if you ever need somebody to work your kids out, you see him. He's 37 years old with a 41-inch vertical still.
That's insane.
Something close to that. Tomas right here is another gentleman. He's a poet by day, a podcaster by night, but he's running. He's actually running a first-time home buyer program.
That's huge.
Thing in our community here. So I think that's something those kids need to learn about too. Is like, hey, you fools need to build generational wealth and build the legacy. You need to learn about this stuff first. You know what I'm saying? And if you ever need something, he's a great resource as well. And we're always here to help. You got my number now. I got yours. So we're definitely gonna keep in touch. And we're gonna go to a game this year. We may need to check that Chavez Maryville game out.
We got to live stream that one.
And I want to say we scheduled them both to be like Fridays.
Oh, so it's gonna be jumping. There you
when
go.
I text Marcus, I said, "Look, man, I can't stomach playing you on a regular Tuesday.
They have to come back to school the next day.
Yeah, no, my heart can't take that excitement and all that anxiety.
That's
so
great.
We moved both games. I want to say one's on either a Thursday or Friday, and the other one's on a Friday. So it should be a lot of fun. We'd love to have you guys there.
No, we definitely will pull up. We'll do our part as well. Like I said, we got to start putting our money where our mouth is as a community, right? We got to start showing up to these things and showing up to these games and making it feel like it used to feel. Because man, I used to love when I had come in a North Central game and it was if you weren't there by the start of the JV game, you weren't getting in the game.
No,
like, that's how
it's
how it
still
used
like
to
that
be.
a little bit.
Okay.
So if you come to our Trevor Brown game, even though they weren't as competitive the last couple of years,
Still a rivalry.
It's still a rivalry,
Yeah.
and it's still standing room only. It's still they're turning people away because there's too many people. The
Love that.
occupancy is too much. So that is still there, and it's only going to get better. Like I hated when and they went to a Final Four run, but when Rod and them dropped down to 5A, we were looking forward to playing them because it was creating a rivalry. It was one-sided because they were whooping us at first, but we got some guys now where we're competing, and it was going to be so much fun. But then they had a Final Four run, so I can't knock it. Like
Rod got a beast to handle over there in 5A, so I'm sure he's worried about that. But thank you, seriously, thank you for coming. Keep doing the amazing work that you're doing. Seriously, I think you're doing God's work, man. And stay with those kids. And like I said, if you need anything from any of us, any of our viewers, anybody who watches, we're here. We're only a phone call away.
Yeah, if you guys can give us a follow at Maryville Basketball on Instagram.
There you go.
We have a link tree that kind of how you can navigate and get to some other ways to kind of either watch a game or be a part of it. We love that.
Perfect. Well, Maryville Basketball, thank you so much. We are off air with Serg. Coach Smith is out of the building. BC, you are still BC.